scandals to hit South Africa. The multi-billion rand arms deal. It's been a long time coming after President Zuma appointed the commission in 2011 to probe the rationale for buying arms, if the arms are being used, the issue of job creation, and if there was fraud and corruption. And after a number of delays, the hearings took off this morning. And as they got underway, Commission Chairperson was already sounding alarm bells.
Yesterday evening at about 8, 9, 10, I was at home and the head of the legal research phoned me and said to me that there's an urgent application which most likely pending against the Commission. I went through the application together with the accompanying letter, and it turns out that the issues that the parties were raising in the document are issues that we have already considered.
It was a draft, Mr. Chair, because we required the final authority of the Minister to have moved any court application. And the Minister, having considered the matter, has directed us to make it clear that she has complete confidence in you, Chair, and in your co-commissioner to address the matter on your own initiative.
He appeared with his co-commissioner, Judge Hendrik Musi. Their colleague, Judge Francis Legodi, jumped ship on the eve of the hearings.
The powers that be, or the President, I was made to understand is in the process of attending to that difficulty. He was also aware of it. Apparently, the President is going to deal with that by way of the quality of presidential minute. And I was made to understand that that difficulty can be dealt with even before the end of this week.
A number of witnesses have been subpoenaed. Officials from the Department of Defense and military veterans were supposed to be the first to take the stand.
I assure you, Chairperson, that with this practical analogy, be better informed that we were ready, more than ready.
Some witnesses and whistleblowers were disappointed with the 2-week adjournment. It's been a nightmare just to get the commission off the ground, and since the arms deal controversy emerged, and now with another delay, it remains to be seen whether or not secret documents will be made available and if President Jacob Zuma will appoint another commissioner.
The government therefore decided to...
Other witnesses include former President Thabo Mbeki, Finance and Trade and Industry Ministers at the time, Trevor Manuel and Alec Erwin, as well as former Defense Minister Musiwa Likota, Ronnie Castles, who was Deputy Defense Minister in the Joe Modise era. Njanji Chauke, SABC News, Semi-Mark Square, Pretoria.
Let's take the story further now. With us in the studio is SABC contributing editor Vuyo Mvoko. A very good evening to you, Vuyo.
Evening, Vavarishna.
The next move lies with President Jacob Zuma. Are we likely to see that he replaces Judge Francis Legodi?
That's very much unlikely, because remember, this commission has been delayed and delayed. And the sense I got from senior officials who were representing government there, many of whom will have a bearing, or at least their considerations will be taken into account when such a decision is made, gave a very clear indication that the feeling among those who will have to help the president make that decision, that the commission should continue. And if you look at what the judge did after he made the pronouncement that the commission is going to be postponed, he went through each of the main legal teams to say, are you ready? He started with the evidence leader and his team, then went on to the departmental representatives. In other words, giving a sense that were it not for this hiccup, the commission would go ahead. So, and remember, nothing stops the president from saying the two. In other words, it doesn't have to be three judges, because there is no such a requirement. It could be two. And remember, this is also not a court, but rather a commission. So the president could just give the go-ahead. And the sense I'm getting is that that's exactly what he's going to do.
I want to talk a little bit about Patricia de Lille, because she was deemed by many as the initial whistleblower in this saga. She says that she's concerned that the commission will have to report back to President Jacob Zuma every 6 months. And she says she's concerned because he could be in part involved.
Well, it's a concern she raised. I mean, she repeated that yesterday. We spoke to her last night. And her issue is that if you are asking the commission to report to the president every 6 months, what if there is information that comes before the commission and that implicates the president? Her view is that the president should be consulted right at the end, when everything would have been said and done. And she reckons that would go far in terms of giving the public confidence that this commission is not about sweeping things under the carpet or being there. It's not there to sort of prep up or to protect certain people. But that matter didn't come before the commission today. It could have come, but I'm not saying it was going to come. But remember, all the legal representatives, even members of the public for that matter, were going to be given an opportunity to raise very specific issues. But the commission, of course, didn't get there because the postponement came before everything else.
Let's talk a little bit about public perception, because people are questioning whether this commission is in fact credible. They are labeling it just another talk shop, something instituted to take heat off the government. What are your thoughts?
Well, there is that problem, and over the past few days, the commission has been in the news for all the wrong reasons, culminating into what we saw today, where it really couldn't start. But there are a lot of people who also believe that how the judge conducts himself, together with his Judge Musa, how the evidence leader, everyone seems to believe that the commission is going to have an opportunity to redeem itself, so to speak. In other words, all is not lost. For instance, Patricia de Lille, Terry Crawford Brown, who are among the people who have been agitating for this commission, even though they have reservations, they have issues, they had issues to raise, they still believe that the commission should go ahead because it has taken so long to get to this point. And they seem to believe that, notwithstanding the reservations that they have, this commission can still redeem itself, so to speak, and depending on how the judge and the evidence leaders and everybody else conducts themselves, nothing should stop the work of the commission.
As always, thank you for your time and your insight. That was SABC contributing editor Vuyo Mvoko. Another story that's been dominated